We have this story from the Post Millennial. Bud Light's anti-frat marketing exec busted partying frat style in leaked photos. So apparently someone had these photos or whatever in an album for when they were partying with this woman. And they show that when she came out, so let me slow down and provide context for everybody because we're entering a new segment. This VP came out amid the controversy and said Bud Light was a dying brand and we needed to make it inclusive and get rid of that frat bro image. That's funny. She is that frat bro image. She lived that life. And Bud Light is the number one selling beer last year and the year before it and so on and so forth. So Bud Light's not a dying brand. That's absolutely not true. And this woman who claims she wants to be inclusive and get away from that frat bro culture is a part of that culture. Now we've got a story piling on. She lied. She lied. She's an occult ideologue who is exploiting this position to take the top selling beer in the world and turn it into a woke cult product to distribute a woke cult product. What they're really doing is they're not worried about a dying brand. That's the lie. They're taking over by infecting the largest beer brand in the world and turning it woke. That's why I think if this opportunity exists to pounce on this, as they say, and keep talking about it, we should. But more importantly, this story about this woman shows this story's not going away anytime soon. The Post Millennial ran the story. I think New York Post ran the story. A bunch of news outlets are going, and the Daily Mail, they're saying this, hey, we're making money covering this. Let's keep doing it. And that's the problem of the internet age. When people latch onto a viral story and they won't let go, it won't stop. No matter what you do, it will get crazier, it will get worse. And I am hoping that the nightmare tornado of viral memeology, when someone comes to hate something, whips up into a frenzy to the point where this VP is fired, where the marketing teams at Anheuser-Busch are looking at a 10-point drop in their stock, when they're now fielding phone calls from their investors being like, why are we losing this much money? Why isn't this going away? And they say, we're going to have to apologize. And when that happens, what Anheuser-Busch will signal to the entire world is, we screwed up. We can't embrace this ideology. We have lost too much money. And even if they could get loans, it won't matter. If they can get endless ESG capital, it won't matter because they'll ship out products and the regional stores will say, I'm not going to carry that. My customers will revolt. I'm getting a bunch of people in front of my store yelling at me. Get out of here. And then they cease to exist. I don't think we're anywhere near that. It's one of the most profitable beverage companies in the world with the top selling beer. But all we need is a double-digit percentage point drop to where Anheuser-Busch says clearly the story won't go away. And we've seen a whole bunch of stories over the past few years when people get obsessed with something and refuse to let go. And you're wondering, how is this story still going viral? How are they still talking about it? Because we're going to keep doing it. Because the people care about it. Because the commentators make money from doing it, because the tabloid media makes money from doing it. And the only way out for Anheuser-Busch is an apology.
I think the Daily Mail had a better, more accurate title for this particular story. They had rules for thee, not for me. Bud Light exec demanding beer update its fratty image is seen partying at a 2006 Harvard booze fest and pounding shots from condoms. So yes, that happened, and that's what everyone's talking about. And to go back to kind of Joe Rogan here and to try to steel man his argument, I think what he's trying to say is that he's maybe sick of cancel culture. He's maybe thinking that there might be more important stories there. And I think on the other side, cancel culture has been weaponized. I think it's unavoidable. And I think it's at a point right now where, sadly, in the culture war, it is being used more and more against individuals for doing less and less things. So to have a counterbalance to it is, I think, what you're arguing for, Tim, here. And I'm curious what the audience thinks. Do you think that this is an issue that doesn't really matter to you? Or do you think that this is an issue that we must take seriously in order to kind of hit back against this larger culture war? So I don't know. Let's just see the chat. Press number 1 if you think that this is something that we should be avoiding, that there's bigger stories there. Press number 2 if this is an important issue to you that we should take seriously. I'm curious what people say.
Well, my view of it is when I heard that Joe Rogan cracked open a Bud Light, the most interesting reaction actually was Howard Stern. He didn't get angry. He didn't smack talk. He was confused. I don't understand. Is there something to the story that I'm missing? There is. But Kid Rock's Howard Stern's normal approach to culture war issues is the right are a bunch of Nazi chuds, screw them, et cetera, et cetera. When Kid Rock shot up all that Bud Light and said, F you, Howard Stern didn't get mad. All of a sudden he said, what's going on? Am I missing something here? That's actually what he said. Am I missing something to this story? And he goes, I've always been the, just, you can be whatever you want to be as long as you just don't hurt anybody. And therein lies the point. What Dylan Mulvaney is doing is hurting people. It's hurting children. TikTok is promoting an ideology that tells kids to harm themselves. And this is a fact. What we saw in Scandinavia was that child medical transitions did not work, and so they abandoned it. The Tavistock Center clinic in the UK was shut down because child sex changes were not working. But the United States is behind the curve, and they're still promoting this. And TikTok is promoting Dylan Mulvaney to children to then push this ideology on them. That's the issue with why it's bad that Bud Light decided to sponsor Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah, Dylan just did a month ago a video where he was dressed as a little girl singing a song from some musical as a little
Eloise
girl.
or whatever.
Yeah, and now they sponsored him for a beer commercial.
But I think we're almost saying two different things now, because I'm not disagreeing with really anything you just said. We should press. I hope they drop. I hope that I want it. Boycott. Do all that. I'm agreeing with you. This is insane. We should do it. What
But
I'm
you're saying
saying
you're
is
black-pilled, though. Like, there's no way out. There's no solution.
no. That's not what I'm saying. There are solutions, but what I'm saying is that what this is doing, it won't be successful. And let me explain. Let's say Bud Light. Let's say they do come out tomorrow, and that man, we lost billions of dollars. Hey guys, put out a statement. Hey, we're sorry, and no more the dudes pretending to be chicks on the beers. We're sorry. Sorry about that. Won't happen again. Now let's be honest here. What's the response to that? The response to Bud Light's apology is so much worse than anything the right will be able to do to Bud Light with sales when it comes to the next 2 months. It would be that they'd have actual violence, because we all know these commie scum are violent. They would have drivers being assaulted. They would have mass demonstrations.
That's the point.
Every Tom, Dick, and Harry celebrity would be on Instagram.
That is the
Screw
point.
Bud Light, these Nazis.
That's the point.
They can't afford to backtrack now because they can't afford to offend the religion of the state. That is the one thing they cannot afford to do.
And where you're wrong is, if we get Budweiser to the point where they apologize to us, it means they fear us more than them.
And they don't.
And until we make them by their stock dropping and their products not selling, and they realize their business can't persist by offending their own audience, their own market. That means it has to be sustained and persistent, and it is the easiest thing for anyone on the right to do. Buy a different beer.
No, that I agree. I agree.
This is the point I said. When Budweiser issues an apology to us, it means they are more scared of losing their business from sales than the violence of the left. It is a fact. The left uses violence to win the culture war, and the DOJ protects them, and the police protect them. And if anyone on the right so much as farts, they'll get arrested. A guy can go to a store in San Francisco with a garbage bag and fill up product, and they'll let him go. But if anyone dares try to stop him, they will get arrested. Budweiser knows that, which means if it gets to the point where their sales are gone because we are their customers, not so much me, but I mean, it is regular, it is not 22-year-old college kids for the most part, although to a certain degree it is. But we're talking about people ages 25 to 80 years old. And I'm talking about the average point of death for the average male who are buying beer products. If they decided that the ages of 21 to 24 are more valuable than the entirety of their market share, then so be it. Let them take a look at an 80% sales drop off. They won't do it. If the regional distributors say, I will not carry your product, if the affiliates say, I'm not going to work here anymore because we're not making enough money, and if the shareholders say, why did I lose 10% in 2 weeks? They will be forced to apologize, knowing the left will lose their minds. And that means the economic damage is scarier to them than the left's physical violence. And that is exactly the victory we need. So maybe we lose. The point is, we must persist in the easiest culture war battle that's ever been laid before us so that they are forced to apologize.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. And I will say this. The trans rights movement, I do believe that it is actually a gift from God for this country, because I have watched the right forever, for my entire life, kind of dismiss the newest thing, the newest culture war thing, or not take it that seriously, or they'll stop soon, or surely there's an end to this, or it doesn't apply to me. It's been so easy to play that game. The whole, I'm not going to buy in any slippery slope stuff. I think this whole insane movement has finally woken the right up to that there is no end, that this is not the end. This is not the end either. It gets worse from here. It keeps going down and down and down and down and down. That if we're going to get to the place where we are telling children and we're going to be telling young boys, just chop your penis off and you'll become a woman, I think that is finally waking the right up to, okay, I'm not dealing with bad. I'm dealing with evil. And that is why the right has failed for so long, because bad may wake up in the morning, like that great C.S. Lewis quote I'm paraphrasing. Bad may wake up in the morning and say, I'm kind of tired. But demons do not. Demons don't wake up and decide they've gone down the drain enough. That's the difference.
Let me tell you, because we did talk about this a bit the other day as well. Yesterday was Ron Paul, but before that. I have gone on Twitter and I have tweeted, spay and neuter your children to prevent overpopulation. Not a peep from the left. I have said, I don't mind abortion rights, and I think the left should have them because they're ending their lineage, and so the future will be conservative. Not a peep. Nobody cared. No leftist said, how dare you say something so offensive? Well, the reality is they know it, and I think they're, in many ways, they know that abortion and sterilizing their children will result in less liberals and the future being more conservative. That's why they have to go to the schools. They don't want to highlight the issue and say Tim Pool said an awful thing because it puts in the mind of all the liberals that, hey, wait a minute, we are getting rid of our kids. Now, of course, the response from liberals is, Tim, liberals have children too. And I'm like, oh yeah, but like 1.2 on average for every 2 adults, whereas conservatives have 2 per 2 adults. So conservatives certainly aren't at replacement levels. They're at or slightly below, but liberals are substantially lower and have been over the past 20 years. You add to the fact that you are pro-abortion and more likely to have an abortion or sterilize yourself or your kids, it's going to go even lower. And given a long enough time, the math is simple. Your ideology and your family lineage and your genealogy will cease to exist. Now, here's the point. They not once have smeared me over saying things like that. But you know what they smeared me over relentlessly? Budweiser. Yeah. You know why? Over Target. The fact that a major corporation, for no reason, the number one selling beer, the fact that they decided to embrace wokeness has resulted in a 4 percentage point stock drop off, $5 billion, is scary. Because there's other companies that aren't as big as Anheuser-Busch, who maybe Anheuser-Busch will be okay. These other companies couldn't handle that. These other companies couldn't say, we can't handle all our regional distributors cutting off our brand. If we adopt this ESG stuff, we're going to go to business. Look at the backlash. I'm not going anywhere near that. That is the social pressure we are trying to create right now. And the point is this. I will push on this as hard as possible because for once we are seeing quite possibly the easiest culture war battle ever before us. You don't got to go outside. In fact, quite the opposite.
You don't even have to not buy beer. You don't even have to not buy beer. Go buy all the beer you want. Just buy a different one.
Yeah, avoid Anheuser-Busch brands. Yeah. Buy a local brewery.
Be careful with those too, by the way, because Anheuser-Busch has been buying those up. One of my favorite local ones in Houston, bought up by Anheuser-Busch. So make sure you look that up first.
So, someone published a list of all the companies that they own and all the breweries that they have, and it's multiple tweets of things. I tweeted it
Goose
on
Island.
We Are Changed so people could see it. There's a large number.
That's right.
It's
Island.
Anheuser-Busch was bought by InBev, so the company's called AB-InBev. That's the new company. It's called InBev.
And then iPatch McCain, what's his name? Crenshaw was also promoting another beer owned by Anheuser-Busch.
Right. And Miller Coors has done a lot of Pride stuff as well.
Exactly.
However, I don't care as much about that. I don't care that, this is the funny, they're like, haha, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're saying buy Miller Coors, but here's their LGBT Pride ad. And my response is, oh, wow, that's really cool. They did an LGBT Pride ad. I have no problem with that. My problem is that Dylan Mulvaney is targeting children. You want to sell beer to kids? Yeah, I got a problem with that. You want to tell kids to sterilize themselves? I got a problem with that. You want to promote those ideas to kids? I got a problem with that. And so if we can simply say, hey, look, man, Dylan can post whatever Dylan wants on TikTok. Budweiser can sponsor whoever they want, and then we won't touch their products. So, that's the market. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.